All right, so I want to go through another part of my case study series here, looking at real life golfers with real life pain, real life issues that I've worked with, and how they've gotten better by using a physical therapist as part of their kind of player improvement program. So this particular gentleman, he had an issue with upper body pain, right? He was the typical computer junkie, right? I think he was an accountant where he was sitting on his computer 9 to 5 for 40 years, right? Well, he wasn't that old, but he was probably midway through his career, but as a student and all that stuff, he was definitely not in a great posture. He would go and do fitness, right? Like anybody would do fitness classes, join a gym, things like that. But nothing ever really got to the point that he felt that he had a good control of his upper body when he was swinging. So when we went through and we did a physical exam, right? First of all, we ruled out all the stuff because he was getting pain in his neck area at the time. So we made sure we ruled out all the stuff that would happen with like a disc issue or any of the kind of scary stuff that happens at the neck. He didn't have any of it. But as we were looking through, he actually was having issues with his swing, and he just felt that he wasn't able to consistently get his hands where he needed to be, and he was actually getting back pain in his swing. He had neck pain originally, but he would only ever get back pain while he was playing golf. So what happened was he was having an issue where his neck could not turn fully to his left, right? And he also had an issue because of this neck pain, because of that, he was actually pretty weak in his forearm, right? And he had some stiffness in his wrists, right, into extension. He was one of these guys that when you had him do a push-up, he would get some wrist pain, right? And then lastly, the last thing we found with him is that his thoracic spine was pretty stiff. So he was one of these guys where this was the position that he liked to hang out in. Nothing too rounded, but like this was his neutral, right? So when I would ask him, hey, can you just like stand like this and do it for 5 minutes? He'd say, no, I can't, right? It's too much work, right? So because of that, he was getting an issue where he could not turn his thoracic spine. So when we were working with this gentleman, we identified those problems, and the nice thing is we were able to actually fix it relatively quickly with PT. This is something that any physical therapist in the country will tell you. It's not, if he's just got some soreness in his neck and a little, not neurological weakness in his hand, but just like a hand that's not as strong on one side versus the other, it's not somebody that's going to need 5 months of PT, right? This is somebody that we really see in the clinic a lot. But how it relates to the golf swing is why it's important, because his big complaint wasn't about the neck, wasn't about the shoulder, wasn't about all that. It was actually that he had low back pain. So his pro was saying, my guy has low back pain. I don't know what it is. How do we figure this out, right? So as we did the screen, we figured out, yeah, he wasn't the best when it came to like your strength in your hips and was he able to stay down through his swing. Obviously not the strongest because he was sitting all day, right? But he was working out, so it wasn't too bad, right? His issue we found was that because he could not turn his neck to the left, what was happening is his upper body would stop prematurely, and that stiffness coupled with his ability not to, he had a hard time bending his wrist like that. What happened was he would get to here, right? And he would come up and his club just would not get that extra 5-10 degrees, right? So he would get a little slow there. And because his neck was stiff, he kind of had to move a little to keep his eyes on the ball. He couldn't stay low and get fully through and get that full rotation. So what was happening for his back is that because of the stiffness in his wrist and because of the stiffness in his neck, and honestly, probably because of some of that weakness in his upper body where he couldn't really control that turn, what was happening is he was actually coming out of posture high up, right? And then trying all at once to get everything to come right back down to posture to get appropriate address at the ball. And then the issue with that is that the low back has to go from full extension and a twist to at high speed coming down and then in this like turn in this is the side bending, right? If and people who've been watching YouTube videos will know this, golfers will, and obviously golf pros know this, is that all the pros have different swings, right? There's Jim Furyk's swing, there's Tiger Woods' swing, there's Gary Player's swing. All of them look different, but they're all professionals. They all play way better than anybody watching this video, right? And if you look at them, almost all of them, actually pretty much, I think all of them, at least in the study they did, they would have different hands, different whatever they did, but they would never lose that posture during their swing. So they would never come up and then back down. They would do whatever they wanted with their hands, right? However they wanted to change, like low, high, whatever it is, but they would never lose that line, right? Because that's the consistency. That's how you get the club face to be able to hit the ball every single time, is that where you start, you come through, and then that's also where you finish. So for this gentleman, we worked a lot on his neck to get a little bit more of that neck range of motion. We gave him a lot of shoulder blade strengthening exercises, not just, rows where your shoulder blades kind of dump forward in the gym, or, people think lat pull downs help, but they actually kind of round you forward. We gave him some specific targeted shoulder blade exercises that allowed him to do that. And then we said, hey man, you got to actually work on those wrists, right? So we did some manual therapy to get his wrist a little bit more flexible and then bent up. But this is an example of someone who came into, well, it wasn't my clinic, I'm a home therapist, so I was contacted because of his low back pain with golf, when really the issue was all upper body, right? He was compensating for all of that movement dysfunction that he's gained over the years, right? Or that's deteriorated over the years. And it was manifesting in low back pain, right? So we got him feeling a little bit better, handed him back off to his pro, and then they were able to kind of make some of those swing fault corrections, and his contact was a lot smoother, and he was having less pain in his golf swing. Obviously, this is another person where I'd say, okay, also get a gym membership, right? He already had that, which was nice. And we gave him a home program so that he could actually work on this stuff himself. Because if he's out of pain, that's great, but then he's gonna go back to his desk job. And if he forgets all about it, we could be having the same issues. It could be presenting in different areas. So we gave him a home program so he could work on that stuff. And then that way his pro was able to say, instead of, oh, well, maybe open your toes up, or maybe do some of these like big compensations you see on any driving range. He was actually able to say, no, you can actually get more power, because now you have the ability to turn in the backswing and not change how high or how low your chest is. So this is just another example of when we work with golfers, how a physical therapist can come in and assess the situation, assess the whole body, and then figure out, okay, this is what we need to do, solve the situation, and then the golfer's off and running. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, by all means, put it down in the, put a comment down in the, whatever it is underneath the video. And yeah, reach out if you're in the Phoenix or Scottsdale area. I'd be happy to help you. But hopefully this was helpful.